Ladies and gentlemen, back in the day, you could say that a Clint Eastwood movie was rarely a date movie. And this summed it up. One of the most dangerous and scary. Clint Eastwood, a horror movie, that's what it is. It's called The Beguiled. Now, The Beguiled is a 71 American Southern Gothic psychological thriller film directed by Don Siegel, starring Eastwood, the great Geraldine Page, and Oscar nominee Elizabeth Hartman. The script was written by Albert Maltz and is based on a 66 novel written by Thomas P. Cullinan, originally titled A Painted Devil. The film marks the third of 5 collaborations between Siegel and Eastwood, following Coogan's Bluff and Two Mules for Sister Sarah. And it continued with Dirty Harry, released the same year, and Escape from Alcatraz. Now, Irene Camp co-wrote the screenplay as Grimes Grice, with Maltz again co-writing it as John B. Sherry. Now, the plot of this is quite different. During the American Civil War in 1863, Amy, a 12-year-old student at Miss Martha Farnsworth Seminary for young ladies of rural Mississippi, discovered a seriously wounded Union soldier, John McBurney. She brings him to the school's gated enclosure, where the school's headmistress, Martha Farnsworth, first insists on turning him over to Confederate troops, but then decides to restore him to health first. He is initially kept locked in the school's music room and kept under watch. Edwina, the school teacher, has no experience with men, takes an immediate liking to John, as does Carol, a 17-year-old student who makes advances with an experienced heir. Now, John begins to bond with each woman in the house, including the slave Haley. As he charms each of them, the sexually repressed atmosphere of the school becomes filled with jealousy and deceit, and the women begin to turn on one another. After Carol, who earlier made a welcome pass to John, witnesses John kissing Edwina in the garden, she ties a blue rag to the school's entrance gate to alert the Confederate troops to the presence of a Yankee soldier. When a band of Confederate soldiers see it while passing the school, Martha lies and helps John pretend he's a relative loyal to the Confederacy. Now, Martha has also become infatuated with John, and a flashback shows her having an incestuous relationship with her brother. Martha considers keeping John at school as a handyman. She makes sexual advances towards him, which he resists. Now, late one night, Edwina discovers John having sex with Carol in her bedroom, and in a jealous rage, she beats him with a candlestick, causing him to fall down the staircase and break his leg severely. Martha insists he will die of gangrene unless they amputate his leg. The women carry him to the kitchen, where they tie him to the table. Martha eventually saws off his leg at the knee. When John awakens and learns that his leg has been amputated, he goes into fury, convinced that Martha performed the operation as revenge for her sexual advances. Like I said, not a date movie. Now, John, under lock and key, convinces Carol to unlock his door. He sneaks from his room and Martha's room and steals a pistol and some personal items of Martha's, including some letters for her brother. Convinced that Martha plans to hold him prisoner, John confronts Martha at gunpoint, claiming control of the house and declaring his intention to have his way with any of the women or girls. He gets drunk and then confronts the entire household, revealing that he read Martha's letters and they implicate Martha and her brother in an incestuous relationship. Now, in a fit of anger, he also kills Amy's pet turtle. Edwina follows John to his room and professes her love for him, begin to kiss, and is later implied that they had sex. Now, meanwhile, Martha convinced the others, except for Edwina, who was not present, that he needed to kill John to prevent him from denouncing them to Union troops who had made camp within sight of the school. Martha asks Amy to pick mushrooms they can prepare especially for him, and Amy, she says she knows just where to find some. At dinner, John apologizes for his actions, and Edwina reveals that she and John have made plans to leave the school and marry. John has been eating the mushrooms the other passed the bowl without taking any except for Edwina. When she starts to eat some, Martha cries out for her to stop. John realizes he's been poisoned and leaves the dining room disoriented and collapses in the hallway. The following day, the women sew his corpse into a burial shroud and carry him out to the gate to bury. They agree he died of exhaustion, and Amy denies she could ever pick a poisonous mushroom by mistake. You see, killing off Clint Eastwood by mushrooms via a bunch of jealous women, that's a stretch. Anyway, great cast in this. But Geraldine Page gets such as over-the-top performance as Martha. Elizabeth Hartman, just like a doe in the headlights, great performance, including Joanne Harris, Darlene Carr, Mae Mercer, Night Gallery veteran Pamela Ferdin, Melody Thomas Scott as Abigail, and Peggy Dreyer and Patty Maddock. Now, Eastwood was given a copy of the 1966 novel by producer Johnny Clang, and he was engrossed throughout the night to read it. This was the first of several films where Eastwood agreed to storylines where nubile females looking at him adoringly, including minors in the film and Pale Rider. Eastwood considered the film as an opportunity to play true emotions and not totally operatic and not lighting cannons with cigars. Matz was brought in to draft the script, but disagreements in the end led to a revision of the script by Claude Traverse, who, although uncredited, led to Maltz being credited under pseudonym. Maltz had originally written the script with a happy ending, in which Eastwood's character and the girl live happily ever after. Both Eastwood and director Don Siegel felt that an ending faithful to the book would be stronger anti-war statement, and Eastwood's character would be killed. The film, according to Siegel, deals with the themes of sex, violence, and vengeance, and was based around the basic desire of women to castrate men. Though the central theme was the impact of a man having sex with multiple women. Now, Jean Moreau was considered for a role of the domineering Martha, but the role went to Page, and actresses Elizabeth Harpin, Joanne Harris, Darlene Carr, Mae Mercer, and Pamela Ferdin were cast in supporting roles. Now, initially, Universal wanted Siegel to film at the Disney Studios Ranch, but Siegel preferred to have it filmed at the antebellum estate near Baton Rouge, Louisiana, in Ascension, Paris, the Ashland Belle Helene Plantation, a historic house built in 1841 that was a plantation estate and home of Duncan Farrar Kenner. Portions of the interiors were filmed at Universal. Filming started in April 1970 and lasted, get this, 10 weeks. Now, Eastwood at the time had signed a long-term contract with Universal, but became angry with the studio because he felt that they botched this movie's release. This eventually led to him leaving studio in 1975 after the release of the Iger Sanction, which he directed as well as starred in. He would not work for Universal again until 2008's The Changeling. Now, Eastwood said of his role in The Beguiled, Dustin Hoffman and Al Pacino play losers very well, but my audience like to be there vicariously with a winner. This isn't always popular with critics. My characters have sensitivity and vulnerabilities, but are still winners. I don't pretend to understand losers. When I read a script about a loser, I think of people in life who are losers, but they seem to want it that way. It's an impulsive philosophy with them. Winners tell themselves as bright as the next person, I can do it. Nothing can stop me. Now, The Beguiled holds a 90% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes based on 21 reviews with a weighted average of 7.3. Metacritic assigned the film a weighted average score of 66 out of 100 based on 6 critics indicating general favorably reviews. Now, Gene Siskel only gave it 2 stars out of 4, but the LA Times did say it's a film of psychological suspense laced with dark humor that was a triumph of style, totally engrossing and utterly convincing. Now, it was more popular overseas than in North America, mixed reviews in the States and Canada, but it received major recognition in French as proposed by Pierre Rissant to the Cannes Film Festival, and while agreed to by Eastwood and Siegel, the producers declined. It would be widely screened in French. Later, it's considered one of Eastwood's finest work by the French. The film was poorly marketed and in the end grossed a little over $1 million, earning less than a fourth of what Sweetback's Badass Song did at the same time, and falling to below 50 in the charts within 2 weeks of release. Now, it did very good on television, but in some jurisdictions that would be edited heavily for the major themes. Now, made right before Dirty Harry, this was a bold early attempt by Eastwood to play against Stipe. Again, it was not a hit, likely due to uncertainty on Universal's parts concerning how to market it. It eventually led them to advertise the film as a hot-house melodrama. 1 man, 7 women, in a strange house. His love or his life. According to Eastwood and Jennings Lang, the film, aside from being poorly publicized, flopped due to Eastwood's being emasculated in the film. The film's poster, for example, shows him with a gun, suggesting an action movie, but the only action consists of a few seconds of flashback to Eastwood's character in battle before being wounded. Now, I saw The Beguiled initially in 1973, and I was wondering myself, who decided to put Eastwood in such a very one-note part, like usually with The Man with No Name style, is very layered. Now, the modern critics, including Quentin Tarantino, later wrote the movie was the closest Siegel ever came to making an art film. And truth be told, as good as it is, as his director, he's miscast. While the offbeat film is ultimately successful, it does bring out Siegel's worst stylistic impulses. His fondness for Freudian imagery, his literariness in a tale that screams of ambiguity, as a dream sequence in the middle makes explicit everything that had only been suggested. However, once Siegel settles down and focuses on Eastwood, the film comes alive. So, puberty, teenage longing, older women longing, or which would be like cougar or whatever, is all in the film. They're living in a place. They're horny for men. There's a lot of background, and you all love them for different reasons, like the Hartman character and the Page character. Now, Sofia Coppola did a remake of this. She wrote and directed a film based on the same source material that came out in 2017. Nicole Kidman, Colin Farrell, Kirsten Dunst, and Elle Fanning. It has a world premiere at the Cannes Film Festival in May 2017, released by Focus Pictures. Now, if you like kind of a different adaptation of the Beguiled plot, you can watch this. But unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, it hasn't the same impact, even though it's probably not say a shot-by-shot remake, but pretty close to it. It's like the remake of Psycho. Sofia Coppola, I don't know what would motivate her. You can't really improve in the Beguiled because it's literally a stage play style that only has one ending. You know what the end's going to be. So Clint Eastwood is not being interviewed very much, but just like Play Misty for me, it doesn't fit in the action of Western movies. But if you're Clint Eastwood completist, it's good to watch this on a Sunday afternoon with nothing else on, where basically you want to try a new movie. And like I said, there's good parts in there, especially, the kind of the horniness of the Eastwood character just getting off on these different types of women. They are different types, digging him so much. And, child love, teenage love, middle-aged love, and most women that I've known in my life, they love hard. That's how it works. They're very, very emotionally caught up in the person they're attracted to, and this is what the movie all about. But jealousy combined with power doesn't end well, and this is what the Beguiled does. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's our latest on our Clint Eastwood Vintage podcast. If you like what we're doing here, give us a like, comment, subscribe, or share. The various Clint Eastwood podcasts are trending quite well, so don't forget we take requests, which are always greatly appreciated and always highly considered. And don't forget, if you're around 7 women trying to get out, start hitchhiking. Because the whole plot of the movie could have been thrown out if you just left. That's what it done it. Thanks for listening. Bye.